Greetings, my fellow freedom sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves, South Florida. And today's date is Sunday, November 5th, 2017, early Sunday morning or late Saturday night, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I haven't done the show almost the past week. I got a case of bronchitis, flu in the lungs, so I was wheezing a lot. And I still have some left, but a lot I'm going to recover for sure by tomorrow. So sorry about if I didn't do any shows, because I'd be wheezing, hacking, all that. I don't want to. That it would be unhealthy, right? For my episode. So thanks for your patience. And I think it's pretty cool. I was like going through some of the episodes here. Like Gladio B, Assassin's Journals for Car Bomb, got like 1,061 hits. And I thank everyone for taking the time to listen. Well, just give me your thoughts. Don't be shy. You can write comments in here. You can criticize me too. I can take that. I'm a man. But yeah, so it's pretty mild right now, like in the 70s. So I like it. You're hearing some poser hip hop, I call it, because it's not poetic, it's poserism. It's like every other genre of music out there. Not impressed at all. However, I want to be addressing a few some things here. So I take the initiative on checking out. And let's talk about this one came up from Kurt Nebo. It came out a couple of days ago, yesterday or a couple of days ago. And this is exclusive from Newsbuds. So if you really want to read the content, go to newsbuds.com and be a subscriber. Don't worry, you won't be disappointed. Very good writers, have a lot of merit, and there's no candy ass pushing around or being a partisan hip parade. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Excuse me here. It says here by Newsbuds, exclusive by Kurt Nebo, engineered terror in Manhattan. Is Sayfullo Saipov a patsy? As it reads here, there are several unanswered questions about the terror attack in Manhattan on October 31st, allegedly by Sayfullo Saipov, a Uzbek immigrant. Most prominent is a report by a neighbor in Patsy, New Jersey, who he said he saw Saipov in the company of two identified men. They did not look like construction workers. They weren't dressed like they're going to work. Carlos Batista told Fox News, I would see him with them more than his own kids. Like mysterious woman reportedly seen with accused Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock. Two individuals spotted with Saipov will never be identified, and the corporate media will dismiss Batista's story as irrelevant if they acknowledge it at all. Lone Wolf inspired radicalized Islamic State video is now the official narrative. Can we say New World Order does it again? In many ways, this is now a classic case of radicalization of a domestic jihadist who associated with ISIS, and this is their new playbook. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo told CBS News, very simple. Use a vehicle to cause harm. It's New York. It's London. It's Germany. It's France. It's Ohio. So this is more of what we've seen. It's possible the two men were Saipov's handlers. For instance, we know the New York Police Department has infiltrated and surveilled the Muslim community not only in New York, but around the country. In 2012, it emerged that the NYPD had openly spied on Muslims, but also inserted agent provocateurs in the Muslim community. This came to light during the trial of Ahmad Farhani, a mental patient accused of plotting to bomb a synagogue in Manhattan. Farhani was befriended by an undercover agent, codenamed Leader, referred to as UC214 in court papers. He targeted Farhani at a Palestinian solidarity event held by students. Over time, leader. Attended several student conferences outside New York City. He constantly engaged in provocative and violent rhetoric to the plight of the Palestinians, said Elizabeth Fink, Farhani's lawyer. UC214 manipulated the mentally ill Farhani and steered him into a setup. This is similar to the tactics used by the FBI. Another entrapment case, right? Anything's possible. Since at least 2000, New York City Police Department's Intelligence Division has engaged in the religious profile and suspicionless surveillance of Muslims in New York City and beyond, according to the ACLU. In addition to mapping Muslim communities and conducting photos and video surveillance, the NYPD recruited mosque crawlers and rakers to scout mosques, restaurants, delis, internet cafes, barbershops, and gyms to find targets. In addition, the unit used coercion to recruit informants. The NYPD cops arrested Muslims on traffic stops and outstanding warrants and forced them to become informants. Hey, can I say, let's go scapegoating, find another bellboy. In 2012, a paid informant working for the Intelligence Division came forward and said he was told to create and capture Muslims into saying inflammatory things. He created conversations about jihad or terrorism, then captured responses set to the NYPD. For his work, he earned as much as $1,000 a month. Man, those come cheap these days, right? The police promised to keep him out of jail after a string of minor marijuana arrests. Oh my goodness. Victimless crime laws. The NYPD, where's that very man live? For his work, he earned as much as $1,000 a month. The police promised, I already said that. The informant, Shamir Rahman, a 19-year-old American of Bangladeshi descent, said he received little training and spied on everything and anyone. He took photos inside the mosque he visited and eavesdropped on Amin. The NYPD Intelligence Division worked closely with the CIA in violation of the agency's charter. It's the states. We got a train coming by. Woo! One moment. Okay, the train passed by. Okay, so I'll continue on here. The NYPD Intelligence Division worked closely with the CIA in violation of the agency's charter. It states the CIA is forbidden to conduct operations in the United States. The CIA trained a top NYPD detective, Steve Penko, and his farm spy school in Virginia, and top CIA officer, a former Middle East station chief, was assigned to One Police Plaza. Former high-ranking CIA officer David Cohen became the NYPD's first civilian intelligence chief in 2002. He headed up the CIA's analytical and operational divisions before working with the NYPD. Cohen requested help from the agency to rebuild the intelligence operations in New York. CIA boss George Tenet responded by tapping an expertise of Larry Sanchez, a CIA veteran who had served as a CIA official at the United Nations. Usually when an agent is used on a temporary assignment, the other agency picks up the tab. This wasn't the case with Sanchez. Tenet kept him on the CIA payroll. In essence, CIA turned the NYPD into a satellite operation. The CIA's infamous tactics, however, are illegal in New York. Since 1985, the NYPD has operated under a federal court order limiting the tactics it could use to gather intelligence. The NYPD has used informants and undercover officers in the 1960s and 1970s to infiltrate the anti-war movement and target activists without reason to suspect a criminal behavior. Hey, it's like a you know, they call that prelude to the war on terror of the 21st century, right? Absolutely. The rules were sidelined when U.S. District Judge Charles S. Haidt Jr. agreed with the Cohens and restrictions was no longer relevant in the wake of 9/11. Oh, how sweet. Haidt said the guidelines addressed different perils at a different time. In the case of terrorism, to wait for an indication of crime for investigating is to wait far too long, Cohen wrote. The CIA has plenty of experience. In 1959, the agency created Operation Chaos, one of the largest and most persuasive domestic surveillance programs in the history of the United States. The CIA's Office of Security was monitoring other groups at this time and had recruited agents within different emigre organizations. The CIA considered this normal extension of its authorized infiltration of dissident groups abroad, even though the activity was taking place within the U.S., writes Bernie Lyon, a former CIA undercover operative. In 1964, President Johnson allowed his then CIA director, John McCone, to create a secret branch called the Domestic Operations Division, a mockery of the intent of Congress when it forbid domestic operations. Look at these treasonous quacks, yo. Good grief. Congress could not hinder or regulate something it did not know about, and neither the president nor the director of the CIA was about to tell them, right, Lloyd. Neither was J. Edgar Hoover, even though he was generally aware that the CIA was moving in on what was supposed to be exclusive FBI turf. Can we say cloak and dagger here? Yes, it is. In 1965, Johnson ordered the new unit to investigate the growing Southern anti-war movement under resistance and Mamrek operations. The CIA infiltrated agents into domestic anti-war groups with the resistance of local police departments. The CIA engaged in burglaries, illegal entries, use of explosives, criminal frame-ups, shared interrogations, and disinformation. At the same time, the FBI was running its own subversion program, COINTELPRO. President Nixon continued to expand Operation Chaos. In 1970, he met with the FBI's Hoover, CIA DCI boss Richard Helms, NSA Director Admiral Noel Gaylor, and Defense Intelligence Agency Representative Lieutenant General Donald B. Bennett. Nixon wanted to crush dissent and break the back of the anti-war movement. Operation Chaos agents were instructed to gather information on activist immorality, show them as scurrilous and depraved, call attention to their habits and living conditions, explore every possible embarrassment, send in women and sex, break up marriages, have members arrested on marijuana charges, investigative personal conflicts or animosities between them, send articles to the newspapers showing their depravity, use narcotics and free sex to entrap, use misinformation to confuse and disrupt, get records of their bank accounts, obtain specimens of handwritings, provoke target groups into rivalries that may result in death, writes May Russell. Can we say Operation Divide and Rule? These immortal tactics are mild when compared to other activities the CIA engage in. Behavior modification, mind control programs, assassination attempts of foreign leaders, engineered coups, and unethical human experimentation. The template used was the CIA and USA's Phoenix program in Vietnam. The widespread use of informants, blacklists, selective terror, and black propaganda defined the Phoenix program, all while mirroring itself in a twisted sister and U.S.-based counterpart, MH Chaos or Operation Chaos, writes Carla Z. De La Copa. The Senate Church Committee and the Rockefeller Commission investigating abuses by the CIA and the FBI had little interest in getting to the bottom of these activities. Senator Gary Hart, Laminate Committee disinterest investigating the full range of abuses. He said the majority of the 600-page report compiled from CIA Director William Colby's testimony that comprised the family jewels never made it into the final Church Committee report. The reports revealed a long list of CIA abuses, including wiretapping, journalists, surveillance of journalists, including Jack Anderson's, home break-ins, opening mail, under NSA Project Shamrock. Behavioral research on American citizens, including LSD experiments under Project MK Ultra. Assassination plots against Fidel Castro, Congolese leader Patrice Lumumba, President Rafael Trujillo of the Dominican Republic, and Rene Schneider, the commander-in-chief of the Chilean army, in addition to Operation Chaos and Projects Resistance and Merrimack. Until we know the identity of the two men seen with Sayfullo Saipov, we will not know if this attack was instigated by the CIA, NYPD, FBI, or other government agencies. The record clearly demonstrates the state has engaged in such behavior in this past. Many Americans, of course, refuse to believe the government would kill innocent civilians, especially their own citizens. Bush and Obama killed a number of American citizens, including Al-Qaeda hostage Warren Weinstein, Ahmad Farouk, Adam Gadden, Anar al-Awlaki, and his 16-year-old son, Abdul Rahman, and Jude Kenan Muhammad. All were killed without due process as guaranteed by the Fifth Amendment. Ain't that nice? If people say, hey, Bush, but you love Obama? Obama bread, Obama bread. Spiking Worcester Kool-Aid for your own good. Obama bread will make you bend over, Bob, for life. Absolutely. The establishment media has ignored the CIA's role in creating Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups. This was accomplished not only to attack the Soviets in Afghanistan, but also to create a perpetual and undefeatable enemy to oppress the Soviet Union after it collapsed. The attacks on 9/11 were designed to kick the war on terror and surveillance and police state into high gear. Ongoing domestic terror attacks are primarily false flag events engineered to inculcate the people into accepting ever-increasing militarism abroad at home. It parallels Operation Gladio in Europe, which was initiated to move the people to call on the state to protect them from terrorists, despite the cost of liberty and privacy. President Donald Trump has called Sayfullo Saipov to be sent to Guantanamo and given the death penalty after military tribunal. The concentration torture camp at Guantanamo is supposed to hold on non-Americans, with the exception of Yasser Hamdi, who the government does not consider a citizen. And if Trump has his way, a president will be sacked. Americans accused of terrorism or provide materials for terrorists may soon be denied their constitutional rights. Again, we don't know at this point if Saipov was in fact steered into violence by the state, or if he was motivated by U.S. foreign policy to commit the act. This is, of course, irrelevant to the state and the ruling elite with their vested interest in war. The profits it rakes in from the military-industrial surveillance complex and the control measures it forces on the people who are, in the minds of our authoritarian leaders, enemies of the state. If they dare organize and protest crimes, it perpetuates. Yep. So that's the question. Is Saipov a patsy? I wouldn't be surprised one bit, my friends. But one thing you gotta know for sure, all these motives try to put the fear in the hearts of the Americans and the world. We all come belly up and submit. Please, government, save us. Protect us. I can't even clean my own rear ends. Please, I beg of you. I'll leave all my security eggs in the hands of you. It's like calling out for underdog. Underdog, save me. If you see the cartoon Underdog, you understand where I'm coming from. Now, this one thing is for sure. It is a lot more dangerous than what people really know. If you're going to let this game of tyranny, police state, 1984 Orwellian environment, to accept it, it will shoot yourselves in the foot, you hit a brick wall, or hang yourself. I say that symbolically. This is why, my friends, Always got to question everything. When I found out he's made a pledge of allegiance to ISIS and ISIL, whatever you want to call it, I went, New World Order 101. I'm not afraid to say that. I've been pretty consistent about these areas. Doesn't mean I'm an expert, but the main objective is to pay attention, observe responsibly. Correct? Yeah. I'm telling a lot of stuff don't add up, my brothers and sisters. Nice yawn there, forgive me. Yeah, I just actually I slept pretty long today, so my body has said thank you. All right, another one here, which is mind control related, came from the Jafira Foundation. And it says here, scientists look for a cure against politically undesirable behavior. The free world has taken on where the Soviet scientists and psychiatrists left off. German-American scientists who reown universities in Bonn and Lubeck do research on treatment of politically undesirable behavior, like the Soviet colleagues from the famous Sozbetsky Central Research Institute in Moscow. In the Soviet Union, people who protested the system had to undergo psychiatric treatment. Vladimir Bukovsky, a world-known dissent survived one and described it. The same would be the fate for the so-called free world citizens. If they fail to conform to the idea of multicultural society, the power had that be given a signal and obliging. Complacent scientists are already busy working on bettering or collective and individual psyche. Apart from homophobia and Islamophobia, xenophobia, and another psychiatric condition that needs to undergo therapy, hormonal therapy. Throughout history, the world has been torn by two opposing factors in the face of each other with daggers drawn. These are natural, biological, and unnatural forces, or reality, and dystopia. It's natural for human beings want to possess things and work as little as possible to counter it. Spazi and socialist communists or Christian heretics came up with a society governed by the principle, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. It was supposed to work. It failed miserably. Everywhere it was installed and implemented, from Cuba to East Germany to the Soviet Union to North Korea. The human being and an evolutionary extension of the animal world is endowed with certain indelible features at the genetic level. Group loyalty and fear of aliens are among them. Man cannot survive alone. Mankind is not a biological, monolithic, homogeneous family. Rather, it is made up of human groups, clans, tribes, nations, races that, as a result of the long development, are moving apart from each other. Biology is the basis on which human communities create culture and ultimately civilization, not the other way around. Human groups, which have come into being as a result of living separately from each other for ages, and so have developed incompatible cultures and religions, compete for resources, i.e. for survival. This man cannot make it through life on his own. He is part of a group, clan, tribe, nation, in order for the group to function as well and safeguard it, and simultaneously its members' survival success. Each group member is equipped with two psychological mechanisms. One, in-group loyalty. Two, out-group enmity. Group members collaborate and support each other, even to the point of sacrificing themselves for the whole. That's the original altruism. Defection to another group means weakening of one's group and strengthening the alien group, which has always been regarded as the greatest mortal sin. Treason. Dante's Hell has Judas Iscariot in its century, which is the severest punishment for it. Altruism towards members of the out-group is something between in-group loyalty and defection. Its exuberant instances are technically referred to as pathological altruism. The phenomenon can be compared to the rivalry among soccer teams. The team's survival objective is to win the cup. The prize will be shared by all team members. In order to achieve it, each one of them has to cooperate with the others. No cooperation with members of any other opposing team is thinkable. A team player may want to sacrifice his own personal career for another from the same team by helping him to score as many goals as possible and thus becoming the team star, or by fouling the opposite team's players and thus risk being sent out of the playground, death, thus enhancing the chances of his team's win. But the same will not make things easier on the playground for any member of the opposing team. Helping members of the other team means lessening the chances for winning the cup survival of one's own team and ultimately one's own chances. It may well, if my well-being and survival depends on that of the group that I am a member of, and conversely, if my group's survival is contingent on the cooperation, altruism, and self-sacrifice of its members, including me, then in group loyalty, it's in high demand, whereas out-group pathological altruism is detrimental. That's evolutionary mechanism. That's game theory. That's common sense. Everybody knows it. So do social engineers. Since social engineers have come up with the idea of building new multiracial, multinational, multireligious, multicultural societies, they have encountered the natural barrier. Xenophobia is another name for in-group loyalty and out-group avoidance. Xenophobia is a biological mechanism imprinted at a genetic level that carries a survival advantage. It tells an individual to create bonds with members of the same group and to be on his guard against aliens. Put it in plain language, xenophobia is practiced at the very basic personal level each time parents warn their offspring to be wary of strangers, not to open the door to them, not to trust them. Some modern social engineers have a problem. They need to overcome this deeply rooted biological barrier. Interesting there, huh? A sign has given, most probably, followed by substantial grants and other financial incentives. And so scientists got down to find a cure for xenophobia. One of the research teams included psychologists and psychiatrists from Bonn, Tulsa, and Lebec scientific institutions, urged by the increasing globalization and the mass migration of peoples. As they say, the mentioned scientists who otherwise did fully recognize the evolutionary advantage of the in-group loyalty, out-group exclusion, nevertheless set themselves a task of demonstrating whether OxyContin can enforce the acceptance of aliens and reduce xenophobic out-group rejection. To this end, they devised experiments in which subjects were asked to donate a certain amount of money to people, either compatriots or refugees. Before experiment, the subjects were screened for the level of xenophobia. During the experiment, the subjects were either allowed to act on their own, or were exposed to peer pressure, or were administered to oxytocin intranasally. Excuse me there. It turned out that one refuge direct donation among the subjects scoring low on xenophobia was significantly increased by oxytocin, whereas two, oxytocin alone was not enough in the case of the subject scoring high on xenophobia or out-group avoidance, or parochial, as it is patronizingly named altruism, could only be overcome by the orchestrated operation of oxytocin and peer pressure. The conclusions are obvious. Citizens of host countries must be forced to accept influx of aliens, whether they like it or not. If they do not comply to them, in the name of a high-flown idea of universal brotherhood of men, They'll be forced either by peer pressure or by Oxycontin or by both. Oxycontin suits this purpose very well as this hormone raises the emotional well-being. It is to say, oh so humane. Like Aldous Huxley's Soma in his book Brave New World, the human being with his biologically driven likes and dislikes is not to be tolerated. He must be changed by ideological interaction or by chemistry. He must not be alone. He must accept what he does not like merely passively. He must be made to like what he previously disliked. Mind Control 101, right? Yeah, thought criminals. There was systematic political abuse of psychiatry in the Soviet Union based on the interpretation of political opposition or dissent as a psychiatric problem. The free world has taken on where the Soviet scientists left off. Well. Nothing surprisingly here. You do this, you do that. If not, you're garbage. So, my friends, same stuff, different package. More things change, more stays the same. You have to always expect these elements. It's just human nature as a whole. And Control Grid, New World Order 101. One of their main goals, terminate their identity by taking away their individualism, culture, and heritage. Then you got a bunch of do nots go, yes, master, may I have another. We think alike and smell the same. I don't want to live in that world. Hopefully you don't either, right? Absolutely. So next one here. I'll be back. Chill. Stay tuned. Alright, I'm back here. This is from almonitor.com and almonitor.com. It says here, Washington silent on report U.S. official went to Damascus. CIA and the Czech diplomats serving as the U.S. protecting power in Syria declined to comment Friday on a report that the U.S. official had gone to Damascus, Syria, this week to talk with Syrian Security Chief Ali Malalak about security concerns, including American citizens being believed detained in Syria. The conspicuous lack of denial suggests that the United States may be pursuing discreet back-channel talks to Damascus with the purpose of gaining the release of American citizens. Such talk could be useful to directly communicate security concerns as advance against the so-called Islamic State. Put U.S.-backed forces into close proximity to Russian and Iranian-backed Syrian forces on the ground, and as the United States try to ensure that Iran does not set up a presence on Syrian territory close to Israel, analysts said. There are a range of issues that are standing between the U.S. Syrian governments, including the fate of U.S. prisoners the United States believe are being held under Damascus authority. Nicholas Harris, a military analyst with the Center for New American Security, told El Monitor about after stressing that he has no direct knowledge if he reported the U.S. official visit to Damascus took place. U.S. talk would be useful to get sense directly from the lines in itself. What are the intentions of Bashar al-Assad government toward the future of eastern Syria as the counter of IS campaign winds down, and the U.S.-backed forces and Assad-backed forces come directly face-to-face staring at each other, Harris said, and also potential future regime moves into areas of Syria, such as in the southwest, that are of high concern to take U.S. allies such as Israel and Jordan. A senior U.S. official met Syria's national security chief in Damascus this week in the highest-ranking visit to Syria by a U.S. official since the start of the war in 2011. Reuters reported it was told by senior regional office official close to Damascus November 3rd after Lebanese newspaper Al-Akhbar first reported on the alleged visit. Feel free to say we declined to comment, a CIA press officer told Al Monitor the same day. We can't comment on this matter, the Czech Republic told Al Monitor November 3rd. A State Department official told Al Monitor that the department had no information on the reported visit. During a meeting, Malmak protested to the U.S. official that U.S. forces are in Syrian land and this is considered occupation. I know what is it, antiwar.com, they reported that as well. Reuters reported the regional official said the U.S. official responded that our presence is advisory. We are fighting Daesh. The regional official added, using Arabic anchorman for Islamic State. Regional security officials did not name the U.S. official who allegedly met with Malamak, but he says he had traveled to Damascus from Lebanon. Reuters reported CIA Director Mike Pompeo was previously reported to have started a back channel for Malamak shortly after taking office last January with alleged purpose for seeking the release of American journalist Austin Tice. Tice, a former Marine, was abducted while working as a freelance reporter in Syria on August 12th and is believed to be held by forces loyal to Assad. Syrian officials have repeatedly denied that Tice is being held in Syria. Also, Tice is not in the hands of Syrian authorities, and we don't have any information about him at all. Senior Deputy Foreign Minister Faisal Baghdad told the Associated Press in April 2016 interview. The Reuters report Friday that said that there are other U.S. citizens detained in Syria, including CIA operatives. Why the hell they were over there in the first place? Diplomatic sources have previously told Al Monitor there are other cases of Americans being held in Syria beyond Tice, but did not share their names. One former senior U.S. official expressed a caution about some of the details in the report. I'm not sure why would you do this meeting in Damascus, the former senior U.S. official speaking not for attribution. Interesting, said, too risky, would only happen on the third or fourth meeting if I had to guess. And even then there would be a little reason to do there, and lots of reasons not to. He suggested it would make more sense for such a meeting to take place in Beirut. If the United States did send an official into Damascus, it was not with the message of rapprochement, although Syria may try to suggest that is the case, analysts said. The type of communication is intended to be episodic. Harris said, what really does that is useful for the U.S. side as it cuts out the middleman, such as Russia, and allows the United States to communicate directly with relevant Syrian government agencies to have an ability to tap into the highest levels of decision making in Damascus. This also allows the United States directly to say the face of the regime that it won't accept aggressive actions toward U.S. partners like Israel, which is a major source of concern in Washington, Harris said. And it also sends a signal to Tehran and Moscow when it needs to. The United States does not have to rely on them to say what it needs to be said to Assad. The United States and the Donald Trump administration continue to say they are not actively looking to overthrow Assad by force, but they do not see a future Syria with Assad in power. Harris is also not a sign of rapprochement because the United States is trying very hard to create the conditions for the war over the aftermath of the war, which is to prevent Assad and his partners from having access to reconstruction funds and the international organizations need to underwrite the future reconstruction of the areas it controls. The United States wants a whole and unified Syria with no role for Bashar al-Assad in the government, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson told journalists in Geneva. You see that? The reign of the Assad family is coming to an end. The only issue is how that should be brought about. My oh my, right? De Mistura has called for the next round of Syrian political talks between the regime and the opposition to be held in Geneva on November 28th. Ahead of that, the Syrian opposition is expected to meet with Radi try to come up with a united platform. An advisor to the Syrian opposition High Negotiating Committee told Al Monitor. The United States and European allies have been cool to a Russian proposal to host a Congress of Syrian National Dialogue in the Black Sea city of Sochi on November 18th, and Syrian opposition groups have said they will not attend. With respect to the conference, the Russians are pushing. The United States continues to support the efforts by the UN and the UNIF process to undertake a political process with international legitimacy that could end the Syrian conflict. A State Department official told Alma on November 3rd. The road to peace lies in Geneva. The British ambassador to the UN, Matthew Rycroft, said Thursday, now we are told that the road, which already had taken a significant detour into Astana, now needs another detour into Sochi. Rycroft said, I'm relatively skeptical about that. Well, the United States got to stay the hell away from Syria, please. It's been a burden for a long time. Let the people of Syria themselves make a decision. Why have outside interference? What, we say the people are not capable to take care of themselves? Damn. Well, you do a worse job than they would. It'll be very interesting what's going to happen. And, of course, even with the hostages, like some of the hostages that they don't even have, it's going to be one interesting time. Look what's going to happen to fate of Syria. So, well, hope for the best. Let's see Syria live in peace. Okay? I have to agree on that. Well, folks, that's all for now. I thank everyone for listening. But feel free to download and share us with social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you send me something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.lifeminds.com, FutureNet.club, Patreon.com/LokiLuck3 with 3 eyes, or you get me on Gab, GAB.ai. It's like a more of a freedom of speech version of Twitter. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or to the encrypted ones, LokiLuck #03@protonmail.com. All right, my friends, once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.